about to witness the Blockbuster trade that finally transforms Toronto's championship aspiration? That's the explosive question swirling around reports that the Maple Leafs could be on the verge of acquiring a high-profile forward from Vancouver in what might become one of the most talked-about deals. Before the 2025-26 season kicks off, let's cut through the speculation and examine what this potential game-changing move could mean for both organizations. Toronto has been aggressively searching for that missing offensive piece that could elevate them from perennial disappointment to legitimate championship contender. And if these reports prove accurate, they might have found exactly what they've been desperately seeking. The timing of this potential trade is absolutely crucial. With preseason training camps approaching rapidly, both teams are finalizing their roster construction and making last-minute adjustments that could define their entire seasons. For Toronto, this represents more than just adding talent. It's about making a statement that they're serious about maximizing their championship window. While their core players remain in their prime, the proposed package reportedly involves Toronto sending the veteran players and a promising junior prospect to Vancouver, which suggests this would be a significant investment rather than a bargain-hunting expedition. That kind of commitment indicates the Maple Leafs front office recognizes they need to pay premium prices for premium talent, especially when targeting impact players from division rivals. What makes this potential acquisition particularly intriguing is the contractual situation. The targeted player allegedly has just 1 year remaining on his Vancouver deal, which creates a fascinating dynamic for both teams. Vancouver faces the classic dilemma of potentially losing a valuable asset for nothing if they can't re-sign him, while Toronto could be betting on their ability to convince him to extend his stay in Toronto. The financial implications extend beyond just the immediate trade package. Reports suggest this move would create salary cap space for Toronto to potentially add another impactful free agent, which could transform this from a single-player acquisition into a comprehensive roster overhaul. That kind of aggressive team-building approach is exactly what championship-caliber organizations employ when they sense their window is optimal. From a pure hockey perspective, adding this mystery forward could address multiple organizational needs simultaneously. Toronto has consistently struggled with offensive depth and playoff production from their supporting cast, relying heavily on their elite players to carry the scoring burden. Bringing in someone capable of creating his own opportunities while supporting existing stars could fundamentally alter their offensive identity. The physical attributes mentioned, goal-scoring ability, strength, and speed, suggest Toronto is targeting someone who can perform in playoff hockey's more demanding environment. That combination of skills becomes increasingly valuable when games slow down and space becomes premium during postseason play. It's exactly the type of player profile that championship teams prioritize. The power play implications alone could justify this move. Toronto's man advantage has been inconsistent over the years, often lacking the kind of net front presence or shooting threat that makes penalty kills truly challenging for opponents. Adding another legitimate scoring option could transform their special teams from good to elite, which often determines playoff success. Vancouver's perspective on this potential trade reveals their own organizational priorities and timeline. Moving a significant offensive player suggests they might be questioning their ability to compete immediately or recognizing the value of retooling rather than rebuilding completely. Getting back veteran stability plus future potential could better align with their competitive window. The development aspect cannot be ignored either. Vancouver would reportedly receive a promising junior prospect, which indicates they're willing to invest in future potential rather than just immediate production. That kind of long-term thinking often separates smart organizations from those that mortgage their futures for short-term gains. However, the reported skepticism about this trade's likelihood adds realistic context to the speculation. Vancouver recently acquired this player, suggesting they invested significant resources in bringing him aboard. Reversing course so quickly would require extraordinary circumstances, or an offer too good to refuse. From Toronto's perspective, the competitive balance implications are fascinating too. If Toronto successfully adds this caliber of player, it could shift the entire Atlantic Division dynamic and force other contenders to respond with their own aggressive moves. Sometimes one blockbuster trade triggers a domino effect throughout the league as teams try to keep pace. The fan reaction aspect adds another layer of intrigue. Toronto supporters have been desperate for meaningful roster improvements that signal organizational commitment to winning. Landing a legitimate impact player from a divisional rival would generate exactly the kind of excitement and optimism that franchise has been trying to create for years. The risk-reward calculation is particularly compelling for Toronto given their current situation. They have elite talent entering their prime years, proven coaching, and organizational resources necessary for championship runs. The question has always been whether they're willing to make bold moves that separate good teams from great ones. Salary cap management becomes increasingly complex with moves of this magnitude. Toronto would need to carefully balance current needs with future flexibility, ensuring they can maintain competitive rosters beyond just this season. That kind of strategic thinking often determines whether aggressive trades become franchise-defining successes or costly mistakes. Looking at recent precedent, some of the most successful trades in NHL history have involved teams making calculated gambles on players with limited contract term remaining. Sometimes those risks pay off magnificently when players embrace new environments and extend their stays with acquiring teams. The coaching staff implications should also be considered. Toronto's system would need to accommodate another significant offensive talent while maintaining defensive responsibility and team chemistry. The best trades involve players whose skills complement existing systems rather than requiring wholesale strategic changes. As speculation continues building, the broader question becomes whether Toronto's front office has learned from past mistakes and is ready to make the kind of franchise-altering move that championship teams require. Sometimes the difference between contending and winning comes down to one or two crucial acquisitions that push good teams over the top. What do you think about these trade rumors? Should Toronto be aggressive in pursuing impact players even if it requires significant asset investment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're excited about the possibility of a blockbuster move, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest trade speculation and analysis.